Can you believe it? It is episode 30, the season 1 finale of the What Comes to Mind series. I'm so excited. There's a lot to get through. As you can see, there's a lot of timestamps, so bear with me today. You will enjoy it as I will enjoy it. Let's get into it. So as you can see, I pulled out the big gun today, which is not my arm, which is the tripod, because I'll be, as promised, I'll be answering your questions that you've actually kindly requested on the series so far, me and everything else. So towards the end of the video, I'll be doing that. So please do stay tuned. It is also timestamped, in case you just want to skip through it. That's perfectly fine. But let's get into the whole series so far. And this finale, what is the first thing I'm going to be talking about in this finale? And that is statistics. What are the numbers? Let's crunch down the numbers. Right, to hit you with some numbers. Minus this episode, which will go out obviously later today, there has been 377 minutes worth of content been produced in this series so far. That's just over 6.2 hours, which is kind of like 3 movies worth of content, thankfully, in this park about various topics that you see now. There's heart, lungs, information, can we run faster than 40 miles an hour, psychology, all these words that you probably see on the screen now have been combinated to put together over 6 hours worth of content, which is staggering to think that I can talk for 6 hours. To hit you with some more numbers, 150 hours worth of my time has gone into making this series. I'll be talking about later on how those hours are broken down, but 150 hours of my spare time has actually gone into making this series. Because you can think of the thumbnails, the videos, thinking about the research, talking with people, planning, studying, all of that has gone into making this series so far. And even though I do a lot of the work in the day, just to think of how many days does that equate to, and it shows the sheer time that's gone into making this series so far. And I'm very proud, but also very happy to think I put in that much dedication to making this series so far. And it's actually why I'm so excited to finish this season 1 off with talking about some stats and talking about my experience so far. And for those who are interested in the YouTube stats and the analytics, in terms of views for this series so far, there's been 1 million, no I'm joking, there's been 1,000 views, which for me is still incredible to think 1,000 different people have at least viewed the series. They might have not watched much, but at least viewed the series, and to me that's still an incredible achievement. And let me know what you think of that accomplishment of 30 episodes, gaining 1,000 views for somebody who's quite new to the whole YouTube platform. In terms of subscribers, there's been 21 new subscribers because of the series so far. So if you want to be 22, you know what to do. That rhymed, did that rhyme? Guys, that rhymed, didn't it? That was good. But in the whole YouTube world, one of the biggest stats people focus on, and what I'm looking at as a nice metric to kind of continue my progress on YouTube, is watch time. So how much do people watch the actual videos? Now, I mentioned earlier about 377 minutes worth of content has been produced in this series so far. 927 minutes worth of watch time has happened in the last 90 days, which equates to roughly the series being started. And to think nearly 1,000 minutes of watch time, so people have dedicated their time to watch the series, which is, to me, is incredible. You know, to think the amount of people that have watched it, you know, I know it's minimal compared to other massive YouTubers which are about millions of views, millions of watch time, but we all have to start from somewhere. And I wanted to share that look, whenever things progress, thankfully, and things get a lot bigger and better and a lot bolder, me personally can look back at this video and say, okay, you know, we started off with a few hundred minutes of watch time, a few hundreds of views, and things progress. So for those who, you know, who are here for the long haul, who enjoy the videos, who want to stay, you know, it's a nice progression to start off with. And so yeah, we nearly, hopefully, maybe from this video we reached 1,000 minutes. You know what that means? You gotta watch the whole video. I guarantee it'll be worth it though. So before I go into why did I do this series in the first place, I wanted to share with you the whole idea of the aim of what this series was and what turned out to be the actual reality of what this series was. So initially the aim was to create 30 YouTube videos in 30 days, and a lot of it was about sharing my thoughts about what comes to mind, hence the series name, What Comes to Mind. So talking about a topic that I thought of and sharing my views, my thoughts, my opinions, my perspective on what comes to mind. What the reality has been is 30 videos in just under 100 days. Life has happened in between. I'll go into why I couldn't match that very ambitious target of 30 videos in 30 days. A lot of it was a lot more informative as opposed to sharing my thoughts. As the videos evolved, as what I wanted to talk about came out more natural, I wanted to share a lot of information in an easy to form way so people could understand and benefit from. And instead of it being just purely my thoughts, it was more that, and it's evolved and changed slightly as time gone on. So you can see that the aim was one, the reality was slightly different. Now the reason I wanted to share this is during the series, because it's been 30 episodes, quite a long haul. I want to share my thoughts about what I was feeling during the series. So one of the main feelings I was feeling was, are people gonna think I'm a fake, I'm a sellout because I couldn't hit that target of 30 videos in 30 days? Was it that he says one thing and he does the other? And the general point was I was so focused or so kind of broken down on what people might say, or people might not believe me anymore because I set out to do one thing and I couldn't deliver. It was a very ambitious target. I didn't have any prep. Remember, there was no prep for this series so far. On day one, I decided to make 30 videos, initially in 30 days. And I would research the video, the content, produce, learn as I go along in terms of thumbnails, angles, transitions, all as I went along. I'll be talking about that later. But I realized, hold on, why am I focused on what other people think? Unfortunately, I wasn't able to reach that target, but I'm still confident in my videos. I'm confident in my personality, my character, the way I come across, and hopefully it's funny, it's useful, it's beneficial. And once I had that mindset, I kept going. So believe me, as I continue with this episode and this finale, the theme is not focusing on what people think is huge and paramount. And I'll be showing different angles as to why that's so important in how I progressed from being not as confident to, being in public per se and vlogging. But Aamir, why did you do this series in the first place? Well, one, I wanted to see what I could actually do. Get out of my comfort zone. It was a learning curve. It's a test. I saw it as a test. Can I produce 30 really useful videos that were fun to watch, engaging? Can I develop my skills more? So that's initially what the thought process was in making this series. Can I really hit in terms of YouTube, in the sense of being a good vlogger, a good YouTuber, in the sense of making videos, being good on the camera, sharing things that are actually useful in a way that people want to watch? And then I was more confident in my belief and my kind of processes to why I was doing it. I started to realize, hold on, if I can benefit one person and their life is slightly better because of the videos they've watched, which are these videos, I'm happy. Now, no matter how many, and I said this during one of the episodes so far, I'll see if I can find it and slot it in here, that if somebody benefits, they're happy with something that I've said that they weren't aware of, I am genuinely happy, because I'm not here to fame, I'm not here to make money, I'm here to share authentic knowledge in a way that people can understand and follow and they enjoy listening to. I mentioned right at the start of the series, I talk a lot, I talk too much, and I used to think that was a bad thing. So I thought, why not talk into videos that can be packaged, put onto YouTube so many people can watch. And as I grew even more confident, the notion of trying to share authentic information that's going to benefit people came around. And what I mean by this is not trying to share information because I'm trying to sell something. I'm trying to promote a certain supplement or certain program where people have to buy it. There's none of that here. It's pure authentic information, unfiltered, screening out the bias, the jargon, the unnecessary vocabulary that starts to twist your brain. Because me as a researcher, that's what we focus on, or that's what we try to focus on anyway. And I wanted to share that, but in a way that people could understand. And that's been probably one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to do this, is to share information from research articles, from researchers and scientists, and all these fancy, people who have a lot of high extensive vocabulary, but in a way that people could really understand, engage and follow through. Many people, as I mentioned in some of the videos, they have their own vocabularies for their own reasons, whether you're in business, accounting, you're in fashion, textiles, anything. There's certain terminologies that you use that other people can't understand. The purpose of these videos was to share information in a way that everybody could understand. That was fun, that was engaging, there's a bit of humor, there's a bit of, joking here and there, but in a way that people could hopefully remember, you know, and I'm hoping people who watch the videos, you remember some of the things that we've mentioned. Don't worry, I'm not going to do an exam, no testing, none of that, don't worry. So with those out of the way, let's focus on the crunch of today's episode, which is the good, the bad, and the bloopers. I know which one you're waiting for, but let's get through the good and the bad first. Before I do that, I don't know if you can hear the rain, so I'm just going to wait a little bit, but we shall continue, don't worry. Now the reason why I'm not behind some super epic, beautiful scenery is the scenery where I'm normally at is raining. So the video shall not be stopped, it shall just be paused until it's a little bit drier. So bear with me. Right, as you can see I'm a bit wet, but we shall proceed. So this part, as I mentioned, is about the good side of what I've benefit from in terms of the series, and number one by all accounts is confidence. Look at it right now, it's raining, there's people around, but I'm vlogging still, and that takes a lot of confidence, but it took a lot of time. You know, people are still hiding, but I'm here still in the rain a little bit shooting this video. So that comes from getting out of your comfort zone, and then the only way you can do that technically is get yourself outside, do something you don't really like or you're not comfortable to do, and you got to push the boat out. And when I first did the series and I was outside in public, it was daunting, it was scary. When just one person came, I was like, put the video down and just wait. But you keep trying, you keep at it, you keep going, you don't focus on what people think. That confidence starts to grow a little bit more. Yes, if I was in the middle of town and 1,000 people, I probably don't have that much confidence yet, but you have to start from somewhere. For those who were here when FPMA Foundation, the YouTube channel, first started, I was shooting videos in a classroom in the university, and to go from that to being outside where people can see you is a big difference. And one of the best ways that I learned in order to do that was start small. Start when it's really quiet, it's really empty. Start with baby steps. Then you can come when it's on the weekend, which I'm shooting right now. It's on the weekend where people are around, and you get that confidence to then shoot a video when people might be watching you whilst you're walking, they might be stopping to see who you are. That comes from a credible amount of confidence. So even though I'll be answering questions later, one of the biggest things is start small. Do a short 2-minute video when there's barely any people here, if you do want to gain confidence in shooting a video outside for whatever it is that you want to talk about. But moving on, one of the biggest things which I really loved about doing this series is nature. Believe me, before I was doing the series, I wasn't out and about in nature as much as I should have, and I would have, and I could have. But this series has forced me to be out, you know, shooting videos as much as I can, whether it was every day or trying to keep up with that 30-day concept or trying to keep up with the episodes. It's allowed me to go through nature, and you've seen, if those who've been watching the series so far, the different plants, the flowers, the massive trees, looking at the waterfalls, the beautiful picturesque background that I've been trying to put together. All of that has come from nature itself. You know, nature provides such a beautiful backdrop that you don't have to do anything, you know, and when the sun is out, make sure your angles are okay and you've got a beautiful backdrop, you know. And I'm so thankful that this series has allowed me and forced me to love nature a lot more than just I used to before, and that's why I'm hoping to do many seasons when I'm going to be in different parks. Just to go back to the concept of confidence, because it's such a pivotal part of what I've gained in this series so far, is in between the videos when I'm stopping to think about the next part, there's many people who are looking at the setup that I have, it's in my hand, and looking at it, and I'm like, they're going to ask me something, or they're going to stop me, or they're going to start laughing. Unfortunately, sometimes there's been cases where people have seen me vlog and they start laughing, and that is upsetting. That is not a nice feeling, believe me. Especially when those of you may know from LinkedIn or from what I've mentioned before, I suffered from a lot of speech and listening difficulties when I was young. So I was bullied and laughed at before about it. So me trying to push the boat out even more, and there's people laughing, can get you down. But as I said before, not focusing on what people think or say, focusing on your own ability and what you think you can do and what you are doing goes a long way in building your confidence. So that's something else I want to add for those who are interested in, or just interested in doing something that is out of your comfort zone. Doesn't matter what people think, say, do, look at, you focus on yourself. And something that's I've been trying to get myself to do for so long. And the thing that's been really good about this series so far is the progression in my ability to produce better videos. You know, thinking of fun ways to have angles, fun jokes, be more confident, as I mentioned earlier. The transitions, the animations, the different, you know, perspectives that I try to shoot at, the different depths of field, you know. And just to give you an idea, think about what I've just done, or thinking of crouching down like this as a way to shoot videos, or as I'm walking along on this side, changing it to this angle. What about looking up into the sky? What about this angle? Or how about this angle? Coming around a tree and saying hi. What about this one? Different angles, different perspectives, different ways to keep people entertained. I'm just trying not to fall over at the moment. Believe me, and there's many more in terms of whilst you're shooting the videos, but there's a whole host of transitions and editing in post. So what that means is after you shoot the video, you're editing it ready to be put onto YouTube or a platform. And I'll try right now, I'll put some transitions so you can see the learning and the thought processes I'm trying to use now whilst I'm making videos. And something YouTubers and great speakers might not tell you is the change in pitch of your voice. Sometimes you really gusto and you really want to talk about this and that, imagine this, but then you slow down. You know, you're really passionate about something like this was one of the greatest things to ever happen, and now it's here. So thinking of those change in pitch, understanding that, and that comes quite natural to me because I talk a lot, and that's been helping in making you know, a lot better videos. It's not just the video side of it, it's also the audio side of things. Now this is something I wanted to save towards the end, but I think it works well right now to talk about, and that is some of the biggest benefits I've learned from this series is the best way to learn is to teach. And part of these videos is teaching you about certain things that I've researched or that I may know about, but then it helps me to learn that a lot better, to learn it in different ways, to learn it in new perspectives and new opinions. So that's one of the biggest takeaways I've had from this series so far, and I hope to have with other series that I continue to do. Best way to learn is to teach. One other thing I'm really happy about, I'm really glad about, is not just me but for the foundation itself. Because of these videos, I've been able to open networks and contacts with people in schools, people who have incredible organizations that work with the government on food aspects for kids in schools or health aspects, etc. And remember, when I first started this foundation, it was purely to raise awareness, change perception, and educate people on ways to prevent certain diseases from actually occurring in the first place. To fund videos, really cool initiatives, you know, and me doing my part in life. And because of these videos, it's raised some attention. It's raised some kind of, you can say, evidences that I mean business. I'm not somebody who just have a fun idea. I genuinely mean what I say, and I stand behind it with certain actions. So it's helped me to have some sort of pulling power to help try and instigate some form of change. But now, it's about the bad. So why don't we crouch down for a little bit, because I'm here getting old. You can see the grey hair, can't you? You can see the grey hair. Oh dear. But anyway, back to the bad or the more difficult side, things that I found, you know, hard to do or hard to cope with. And number one is, as I mentioned earlier, it's people. It's worrying what people might think. The difficulties when you shoot a video outside is there's a lot of noise sometimes. So people might be laughing at you, might be I've seen some people talk louder to try and, you know, put you off, which is scary and, you know, a bit tragic to hear. But the difficulty has been sometimes the public, you know, where I talk about in the good side, the nature side has been incredible. But sometimes, as you can hear, I did not time this, I do not have a person flying a helicopter, but as you can hear, you know, noises outside. And that's been quite difficult to cope with, where there's, you know, ambulance sirens coming along, fire engines, people on their phone, music, etc. I promise you, I did not plan this. I really didn't. Imagine if I did actually plan that. I'm talking about how external noise is a factor, and I got somebody to fly a chopper outside. You never know, one day I might do that actually. Let's move on. So aside from external factors like the noise, the public, one of the biggest things has been the time it takes to produce these videos. Now these are not, cinematic, epic documentaries, which I hope to do one day. These are, you can essentially say, outdoor vlogs, and it takes me roughly 5 to 6 hours from start to finish to think, produce, edit and upload one of these videos. And I'll just walk through now why it takes that long. So number one is thinking of the topic. As I mentioned earlier, nothing was prepared in advance, no topics were thought of in advance, which is I'm hoping to do in the next season. But in regards to this one, it's thinking of the topic. Then number two, researching that topic, building on from what I already know. That's going to be a benefit to you guys, because part of the good side of this video is me actually sharing some information that's of benefit to you. And number three is putting together some sort of cohesive flow. So not essentially writing it all out as a script, but putting together key points and key kind of topics that I want to go from one to another. Think of key kind of nice ways to integrate certain things. That takes time to put together. Number four is finding little kind of cue triggers, which is what you see here, where I just have little post-its where I have not written it all out, but just cues to help me. So just certain words help me remember what I need to say next or before or after, so I don't try and repeat myself from time to time. So that's how a lot of it thankfully is in my head, but sometimes you forget and you need something to remember. So these post-its are really, really useful. And I have a box full of them, which you'll see in a minute, where I've just literally emptied it out onto the bed, and you see how many post-its I actually had to make this video. I'm going to do a separate video on that alone, but just to give you an insight, you'll see it now. And then next, I forgot which number I was on, but next is doing what I'm doing right now, which is actually shooting the video. Sometimes I have to wait for the right time in the day, so it's not too busy, especially on the weekends. So this is on a Sunday where the park can be quite busy. And then working at a nice route. I have certain routes that I use where it's slightly quieter, so there's not too much noise in the background, not too many people, shouting behind, so you can hear what I'm saying, of course. So on average, for about a 15-minute video in the series so far, it takes me around about an hour and a half to 2 hours in the park, stopping, starting, probably re-saying it because I said something wrong, which is in the bloopers next, and stuff like that. So that's another, it takes about an hour to research something, half an hour to put it together, about an hour and a half to 2 hours already to produce the video. Then once I'm home, edit the video, use the software, which I'll show you later on of what I use. Even though it's simple editing, so adding a few words, cutting and cropping can take time, certain transitions that I try to use, do add on. And editing, as any videographer who has more expertise than I am will tell you, editing takes ages. It takes a lot of time, and you try and find quick ways to make it a lot quicker. That's why a lot of top YouTubers actually get other people, once they've been really successful and have the time and the money, of course, they get other people to edit the videos for them, because it takes a long time to do so. You've got to start with mastering how to do it yourself, which is what I'm doing right now. Then it's thinking of the thumbnails, and the thumbnails are such a crucial part of a YouTube video. It's the first thing people see. Now, not to go into too much detail of it for now, because it's not the right time, I spend a good time trying to think of the right screenshot that I use for a thumbnail. Now, people spend ages having an actual picture taken and stuff like that, which is what I want to do in the next season. But that takes a lot of time, using Canva, which many people might know, many users might not tell you, but Canva is a really good way to actually produce a really good thumbnail that you can stick on to your videos. Then timestamping the video. So as you can see, it's already a long process just to produce one video. Imagine 30, it's quite a tall order. But what I want to talk about here is the description takes a long time, putting a description in a way that people can just skim through and they've got a gist of what they want to think about, but it cues them hopefully to watch the video. And even when I pull it onto LinkedIn, Instagram and Twitter, having the different descriptions for the different platforms, because some are only allow certain characters, some are a bit more informal, some are a bit more formal, and think of those things as well. So even though that was a bit of a whiz through the whole breakdown, I'm hoping to do an actual mini crash one-on-one course on how to make videos quick, fast and easy outside on YouTube. I'm hoping to put that on Skillshare so many of you can subscribe to and benefit from. So watch this space in terms of that in the next few weeks or months. I'm hoping to get that done for you guys. Another thing that was sort of bad or difficult was audio. You know, I don't have a live microphone, the one that you can stick on here at the moment. But when you're outside, one thing to really focus on is wind, howling, messing up your audio. And yes, any, you know, audiographer or videographer, wind is such a difficult part to play when you're shooting outside. As good as your lav mic is and certain apps that you can have, I don't have them at the moment with the facilities that I use, but it's something I've really struggled with in terms of audio quality for shooting outdoor videos. One of the biggest things that I've struggled with, unfortunately, is because I shoot these videos off iPhone 11 Pro, and as amazing as it is, and the quality and everything else that comes with it, it's windy. I struggle with the concept of framing. And what framing means is to make sure I am perfectly in the shot. And the reason why it's difficult is I don't have a front-facing screen so I can see where I'm at. I have to, from experience, understand how to hold my arm in a position where, okay, I'm not too close, I'm not, you know, half in frame, I'm not half out frame, I'm not this way or that way. From experience, I'm holding, and I can hopefully guess that I'm pretty much in shot per se. So that's something I struggle with shooting from, so vlogging from your phone. If you're not using your front-facing camera and using the better camera at the back, which has the 4K qualities, the 30, 60 frames per second, you've got to learn from experience how to hold your arm, especially if so this is my left arm, my dominant arm, and then if I'm going here, I've got to make sure I'm not too close or too far. Sometimes you've seen me where it's like this, and see the top of my head or the bottom. So from experience, understanding and making sure that you're actually in the frame. And something that seems a bit small, but can make your videos a lot better in terms of quality when you're making sure that you are in the frame. Imagine if I just talked about that and for the whole video I was not in frame. But I don't know yet until I edit the video, so hopefully I actually was. So some people also mentioned to use wide angle views, but for the time being I've enjoyed using the standard lens. Even though it has 3 lenses, the iPhone 11 Pro, I really enjoyed using this particular lens for now, and that may change depending on the seasons and how I feel. But in terms of framing and audio, that's what I've struggled on, and hopefully those tips really help you if you're interested in doing your own vlogging. Another kind of difficult thing or bad thing has been storage space. You know, because this doesn't have an SD card, sometimes your space fills up on your phone, you have to try to get rid of other things. And when I airdrop it to my iPad Pro, which is where I edit the videos, that also has a finite amount of space. And then getting a hard drive space into the into the iPad can be difficult. So the whole front-facing camera or front-facing mirror, so the whole front-facing screen, the audio, the SD card thing does, you know, shout about having an actual camera. But I think the workarounds that I have for the time being suffice in terms of making good, you know, high-quality vlogs. When I'm doing the bedroom studio, which you guys see shortly in the next 1 or 2 weeks, I'll still be using the iPhone, but I do envisage me having a proper camera soon, whenever that may be, I don't know, and have this iPhone as a second angle camera, which you see, you know, in many YouTubers. So even though there are difficulties at the moment with the whole SD card thing, the memory space, there are ways around it before you go embark in spending thousands of pounds on a camera. There's little ways where you can avoid doing that for the time being, because it can be expensive, you know. I use this phone, as a research tool, as a camera. I've got this audio thing, which you'll see later on. Audio thing, I mean microphone. So there are, you know, budget ways where you can make quality videos without having to spend a fortune. So the part some of you have been waiting for is the bloopers. The good news is that I do have some. Of course, the bad news is that because of storage space, which I've just mentioned, I've had to delete a lot of the old footage that made up the videos, which were, you know, the bloopers. So hopefully I've got enough. I don't know yet whilst I'm shooting this part, but hopefully I do have enough just for you to see me falling over type thing. So here's a bit of bloopers, and I hope you enjoy it. Video content I've been great enough for when you potentially might. Now before I dive into further into, so now for example, in high jumps, the whole body mechanics and the composition of how they get over that parallel or that bar. Sorry. Now, this episode is focused on skeletal muscle, and before I go into that, on a serious, now one key similarity with the kidney, let's see if you've watched the last episode. So guys, as you can see, the reason why I was holding the tripod was to hopefully sit down and have a chat while I answer these questions which I have on my iPad over here. Apologies for the sound again if it is windy, but I will try my best. For those of you interested, this is what I use to edit the videos, to upload them, to do all sorts of stuff. But right now I'm using it as a little whiteboard to actually answer the questions that you guys have kindly asked. So funny enough, there are 10 questions. So I've not prepped for any of these either, so I'm just gonna read them out and then obviously answer them as best as I can. If you're interested in why my lower back is not wet, I'm actually sitting on the tripod case. Got to be a bit inventive sometimes, because as you saw earlier, it was raining quite a lot, so the grass, I was trying to figure out what the name for this is. The grass is actually a bit wet, but not to worry. Second question is, what are the biggest challenges you face as you enter the world of vlogging? As I alluded to earlier, I think for me the biggest one was confidence, of course. It wasn't, the notion of what equipment do I use, because I knew the iPhone 11 Pro has been used for vlogging, so I think it was more confidence of people being around, and trying to gain that confidence for shooting videos even though people might be watching. So I think that's been one of the biggest barriers to facing vlogging. That and audio, I think, has been the biggest for me personally. So question number 3 is actually, what's been your favorite moment of the series so far? I actually have 2, one recent and one actually fairly old. One was yesterday's episode, day before episode was about the stomach, and I made a joke of a little bit play on words where I was talking about a condition known as ulcerative colitis. It's shortened as UC, and I made a joke of about UC me. I'll put that little actual part in the video now, but that was spontaneous. I was just off the cuff, and the reason why I enjoyed it so much is because it was actually my gaining confidence to think of these things and to do it off the cuff, not to be so rehearsed potentially. Not that I am, but the notion of my confidence was a lot better to think of fun ways and fun things like that. It's hard to choose my favorites, but some things that are probably a bit unique that I've enjoyed was one of the videos where I talked about the heart, I believe, maybe episode 7 or 8, correct me if I'm wrong. At the end, I showed a little bit of me playing tennis, something that I enjoy doing. And I had a little bit of a hit count at the bottom right, where I actually had 100 frames, and I changed the number each time. So every time the sequence was me hitting the ball, I would change the number, produce another frame, and it took absolutely ages, but it looked incredibly cool on the video. That's something I'm quite proud of, that I thought of again off the cuff, and so I didn't use the fancy software. I just made 100 frames and changed the numbers. So that was something I enjoyed, and one of the highlights of the series. But there are so many, and it is quite hard to choose, unfortunately. So question number 4, guys, was what advice would you share with others who may consider doing an actual series? One of the biggest things is not to overthink it. Not think about what camera do I need to use, where do I need to shoot it, what if people don't like it, what if people start talking about it. Literally start. You have any YouTuber, however successful they are, any great successful person, just start. Most phones now have a decent camera on their lenses and decent audio. Use headphones if you need to. Many people have AirPods, you can use those. You don't have to have a microphone. Sometimes they're a lot better as well, the AirPods and the headphones. And have a realistic schedule, have a realistic time frame of how you want to do this series. Doing it every day can be really time intensive, as I found it through experience through the series. So I'm not going to shed so much information to you. I'll be my advice: start, and then think of a decent schedule that works for you. So question number 5 is quite a funny one actually. Is have people started asking for your autograph yet? No, they have not, and if they do for whatever reason, I will ask for their autograph as well, because I am not higher than any other person. So if somebody asks for my autograph, I don't know what autograph is. It like your signature, or is it like something you just sign? I actually don't know what autograph in terms of what you write actually is. So should that happen, I will let you know, and I will ask for that person's autograph as well. Question number 6 is, what is your favorite way of learning? Funny enough, is listening and talking to myself. One of the best ways, I used to write out notes, it used to be quite intensive. I still do, but one of the best ways I learn is actually listening and then talking to myself. And without realizing, that's what you do when you actually shoot videos. You're talking to yourself technically, and you're listening when you record the video. So funny enough, doing videos is actually one of my best ways of listening. We all learn from actual YouTube videos sometimes. So it's probably why I enjoy talking to the camera so much, because I like listening and I like talking to myself. As weird as it might sound, as it probably is a criteria for being a mad scientist, it's what I do and something that I enjoy, because it helps me. It helps me, I think out loud when I'm thinking of research stuff anyway, generally. So that's, for me, the way I learn. But I do feel that everybody learns in different ways. One of the best ways to learn is to figure out how you best learn, to try different ways and then take from there, whether it's visual, auditory, kinesthetic, whether it's through holding things and mapping out things. You have to figure out how you learn the best, and then you can accelerate or enhance your ability to learn things a lot quicker. But in terms of me and what's my favorite way of learning, is definitely listening to things and then talking to myself about those things. Question number 7 is actually, how do you retain so much information? As I showed you earlier, I think it's in my pocket somewhere. I do read a lot, as I'll show you if I can get it out. I carry these notes, as you can see. So these are just little words to help me cue, so I know, okay, after the good, I've got the bad, and I'm talking about just these points. And then I remember from my studying what. So I think it's a balance of both. You know, there may be a false perception that I remember everything. I don't have an eidetic memory, of course not. But I do constantly learn the stuff that I've talked about before I go and shoot the video. And I just have these essentially cue cards, you can say. They're technically cue cards, but just on a post-it. So that's what helps me to make sure I'm talking about things in the right order, and then I'm not forgotten little things that I want to talk about. So these are actually really, really crucial. Question number 8 is, how do you stay motivated to carry out your research alongside making these videos as a hobby? I think the biggest part is, it's a huge passion of mine. For those who know me quite well, I'm very determined to be the best version of myself, to see what I'm truly capable of, because I'm very focused on being grateful for what I have. You know, we're not in this world for that long, and I want to make sure I'm being the best person I can be and learn the most that I can to help benefit other people. You know, research, I love research because everything's different, everything can change. It's constantly learning, constantly finding out new ideas, you know, constantly inventing new concepts that might work or might not work. And doing videos is something that's fun. I think I've forgotten that sometimes. I've forgotten to tell people that I enjoy it because it's quite fun to talk and make some jokes, share something that's interesting, editing the videos, listening to birds chirping sometimes. And it actually helps each other, because when I do the videos, it's fun and it's engaging, I learn, and it makes me think about research in the laboratory, which is a lot more, you know, intense, a lot more critical thinking. And when I do that, I think about, okay, what videos could I do? So they both actually help each other. So I think the real answer to the question is, I'm genuinely relentless. I am relentless in what I want to pursue, what I want to achieve, what I want to set out to do, what I want to develop as myself. And I think I want to hold myself accountable to that. And it's that hunger, you know, that hunger, that whether it's winner's mentality, whether it's, you know, being a lot more high performance, whether it's being driven. Thankfully, I'm being very grateful that I found a passion of mine. I found something that I enjoy, that's fun. Sometimes it's not easy, like even in this part now, when I'm doing this question time, I've had to move 3 times because there's people been around who, for whatever reason, don't want to move. I want to stand right next to and start talking, and I don't know what I should do. Should I say, like, do you mind moving? Is that rude? Or so I try not to make excuses, you know. I try to say, okay, crack on with it, crack on with it, crack on with it. So I think that's why I'm able to do all the things that I want to do. It's what keeps me motivated, is having that gratitude mindset, have that grateful mindset, and having that relentless attitude to what you want to do. Because at the end of the day, not to go into the whole, you know, motivational speech now, but nobody's going to do it for you. End of the day, it's down to you. There's no quick fixes, there's no shortcuts. It requires hard work, and these 30 videos have been hard work for sure. They have been hard work, but that's what has to happen. You have to go through a lot of graft to get to the other side. So I think for me, it's that hunger, that relentless attitude to help me do what I do. Question number 9 is, how do you keep yourself motivated to stay consistent? I think it would be a lie to say that I've been consistent in the series so far, because I've had some when I've done it every day, and some where there's been 2 weeks apart, somewhere it's been 3 weeks apart, unfortunately. But I've been consistent, I guess, in the notion of wanting to do videos. I think the only way I could say being consistent generally on making videos is to have some sort of schedule and to hold yourself accountable at the end of the day. Because if you want to shoot videos, or if you want to do like write articles, for example, the audience that you're trying to gather will sometimes, if they really enjoy your stuff, they will look forward to the next one. And like when you're owning a business and there's people coming and you don't fulfill their criteria, sometimes they're like, okay, this person's not really up to scratch. And I don't want to have that nature. Sometimes it becomes extreme where you care too much about what people think, and then become like, what we know as analysis paralysis, where you worry too much. But there has to be a give and take between you doing what you can do in your own time, but also doing stuff that's going to benefit your audience, because they're waiting to hear from you. So it's having a balance between looking after yourself and making sure you're thinking and being conscious about the actual audience themselves. So I think in terms of the motivated part, as what I mentioned earlier in the question number 8, it's having a determined, relentless attitude to life in general. I'm very grateful for the little things in life. I want to make sure I do my bit to impart the gifts I've been grateful to receive, to help make sure I can help other people in life through sharing knowledge in a fun and inventive way. And last but not least is question number 10, which is, what is your origin story? What led you to research and the career that you have? So let's go all the way back to, I guess, let's say college or high school, if you're in America and Canada, I believe. So I did biology, chemistry, physics and maths. I didn't do very well in A-levels. I actually got a D in biology, I got a C in chemistry. Elected to do biomedical science at De Montfort University. And towards the end of my career in my undergraduate course, I started my head started to screw on properly, I guess. I kind of hit that moment where I can't just do this and just be, okay, that's it, that's life. There's more to it, there must be more to it. I think that was the switch on to the relentless mindset, I think. And I was grateful enough to receive a first in the degree, and I started to enjoy the research project that you do in your final year, and so, okay, this is actually quite fun. Then I got to notion about a PhD, and I didn't apply for a PhD position, as many know from the research episode, I think episode 15 or 16. I thought I actually designed a research project. I went to academics at the university to say, would you supervise me for this PhD project? And they said yes. Even though it was difficult, you can say, to, I wasn't funded to do my PhD. That's how I got into research to my PhD. I was able to defend my thesis and be awarded a doctorate in pharmacology, so medicinal chemistry, pharmacology, which was my initial discipline. And then I got a, like I said, postdoc at University of Leicester in respiratory medicine, something that's quite familiar to me, because I know many people who suffer from asthma. And that's where I'm at the moment. I'm hoping to, finish this postdoc and potentially get into a lectureship, so where I can do my own research and teach at the same time. So that's the next progression. So that's kind of like a summary of the origin story. But to add that to finish this kind of question time part, the notion of flexibility of working, not every day is the same, you're contributing to new knowledge, it's fun, it's you're thinking of different ways to answer a question in life, being in the laboratory is something I enjoy, doing fun experiments. All of those things were a bit kind of interesting for me to embark onto that career. So that's why I went into research. And I wanted to, help make a difference in life. I thought research and talking were the two best ways I could do that, basically. So thank you guys for your questions. I hope you have many more in the season 2 or before season 2 even. But yeah, let's carry on with the next part of the video before it rains again. Thank you so much for the questions, but let's crack on. So guys, hope you enjoyed the question part of today's episode. Again, a big thank for those who had some questions, because it was really nice for me to answer them and hopefully benefit those who might have had a similar question but were unsure to ask. So I really enjoyed that question time bit, and I hopefully do more of that as these videos develop and as I develop. But in terms of what's next, the obvious one is season 2 of the What Comes to Mind series. I'll be shooting that in a different park. I've got a park in mind which I've already visited and had a little bit of a sneak out and you know, scope of what it might be. So that will be coming in a few weeks. The interviews that I've done in the past few months have been nearly edited and been approved by the people that I've interviewed, so they'll be coming out once a month. You know, with researchers, certain academics, people in research, so even like social media officers who focus on research. I've interviewed them, so to give us some insight as to how we define research and how we can understand research in a better light. Another interesting outlet that's coming soon is the rebranding and the reformation of the Research Origin series that I first started when I was in the office or in the classroom back in university. But I've done a lot of prepping, a lot of content in the sense of getting together really crucial episodes, really storytelling episodes. I'm hoping to shoot soon and shoot in the bedroom studio that you've seen on Instagram or LinkedIn. So that's going to be coming out soon as well, and that'll be like the weekend video and the vlog in, I don't know why I did that. The vlog in the park will be the weekday video. So that's essentially what's coming out in my hopefully really nice schedule for putting out videos. So all in all, you'll be pleased to know more videos coming out, more storytelling videos, more, you know, infographic videos, different scenery hopefully, more of the same but some other different things as well, which I hope you guys will benefit and enjoy and hopefully learn from. So yeah. So even though I'm not edited this video yet, I know and I can tell it's quite a long one, if not the longest of the season so far, so I'm not going to keep you up for any much longer. But what I do want to say is a huge thank you to you guys, because if you're watching this right now, that means you've had many things to do in your day, but you've elected to stop, go on YouTube, find a link, or you've seen it on social media and watch this episode. And to me, that's incredible to think of, and I can't thank you enough for doing so. It really means a lot to me. It means a lot to what I'm trying to do. You know, I'm very, you know, infantry in the process so far, but it means so much that you're watching this video. So first of all, thank you for those who've been watching it, whether this is your first one or you've been there since day one. I cannot appreciate enough what you're doing, and whether you subscribed or not subscribed, if you can, please do so, of course. But thank you so much for being here, because knowing somebody's watching these videos makes it all the more worth it, of course. And I'm just in awe that you spent time out to watch these videos. But I genuinely, as much as I'm thankful of that, I do hope you benefited in some capacity with something I have said in these 30 episodes. But many more to come. So to conclude, while I look at nature a little bit longer, I just want to say thank you again so much for watching these episodes and this series so far. But I hopefully do look forward to seeing you in season 2 and in not too distant future. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the nature. I hope you enjoyed me talking, and thank you so much. But I shall see you very, very soon. Take care.